Welcome to the Teaching Autism and Special Education Community Podcast. Hi, I'm Nikki, a passionate special educator, autism advocate, resource creator with over a decade of experience, and you may know me as the face behind Teaching Autism. This podcast is your go-to place for practical tips, hands-on strategies, and inspiring and funny stories to support special educators all around the world, whether it's building independence, creating engaging lessons, or finding that elusive work-life balance. I'm here to help you thrive inside and outside of the classroom. Let's dive into today's episode and make a difference together. Hi friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Teaching Autism and Special Education podcast. I'm your host, Nikki, and today we are tackling a topic that can stir up a lot of feelings for educators, parents, and even administrators. What does age appropriate really mean in the classroom? I want to dive into why it's not the end of the world or even a bad thing when our students gravitate towards things that are supposedly too young for them. Spoiler alert, their interests aren't the problem. In fact, those interests can be the key to unlocking some growth, learning, and engagement in ways that you may not have even expected. So let's start with the big question. What do we mean when we talk about age appropriate in education? Typically, it refers to materials, activities, or behaviors that match a child's chronological age. For example, a 10-year-old might be expected to enjoy chapter books, board games, or music geared towards tweens. But let's be real. In special education, developmental age often doesn't align with the chronological age, and that's okay. So here's the thing, when we focus too much on what's age appropriate, we risk alienating our students from what they love. And if they love something, even if it's cartoons meant for preschoolers, that's a good thing because it means we have a starting point for engagement. So let me share a super quick story with you because I know you guys love when I share these personal experiences. A few years ago, well, let's be honest, at this point, I think it's about 9 years ago, I had a student, and we'll call him Sam, who was middle school age, but absolutely obsessed with Thomas the Tank Engine. I mean, we are talking trains on backpack, trains on lunchbox, trains on his shoes, trains on the brain 24/7. Now, did I try to steer Sam towards something more age appropriate, like I don't know, Minecraft, sports? No way. Instead, I leaned into his love of trains. We used train-themed math problems. We wrote stories about train adventures and even incorporated trains into our social skills lessons. I would even quiz him about what train I needed to catch to get to different stations and what times and how many stops there were. Did I need to change? That is a hugely valuable skill. Dang, there is a job for what Sam is doing. Anyway, guess what? Sam thrived. His engagement skyrocketed, his confidence grew, and he made progress in ways that probably wouldn't have happened if I had tried to force him into activities he didn't care about. So here's what I want you to take away today. Interests are not the enemy of age appropriateness. They are the foundation for learning. When we embrace our students' interests, no matter how young or different they may seem, we're doing three powerful things. We are building connections because when students see that we value what they care about, it builds trust and strengthens our relationship with them. We're boosting engagement. Our students learn best when they're interested. If that means using Peppa Pig to teach counting, so be it. We're creating a safe space. By respecting their interests, we show students that they are accepted for who they are. Now, I know you may be thinking, so when does age appropriateness matter? Now, I'm not saying that we should throw age appropriate completely out the window. There are definitely moments when it matters, especially when it comes to teaching social awareness or preparing students for interactions outside the classroom. So, for example, teaching older students how to use cooler alternatives for certain interests in public. and introducing more age-neutral items, like using paw print patterns instead of cartoon dog characters for sensory tools. The key is balance. We don't have to shut down these interests. We don't have to force them to choose new interests, but we can teach them how to navigate situations where those interests may not be well received. However, it's important to remember that that doesn't fall in our students' laps. That falls in society's laps, where everyone is so quick to jump on their social media soapbox and judge people for doing what they think is wrong. But just because one person thinks something is wrong, doesn't mean it is. Social media can be a cruel place. The world can be a cruel place. So it's important to remind our students that if someone is being unkind or making comments about their hobbies and their interests, that's not your student's fault or problem. Nobody should change who they are to accommodate someone else's view on what life should look like. How many adults do you see go to Disney World without kids, fully dressed head to toe in Disney costumes and outfits and accessories? Plenty. So that goes to show that who really gets to decide what is or isn't age appropriate. All right, let's talk about some practical ways to use our students' interests as a tool for learning and growth. So here are a few tried and true strategies. So first of all, with your thematic lessons, turn their favorite interest into a theme for lessons. For example, if they love dinosaurs, create some dinosaur-themed math problems and reading comprehension activities and art projects. You can also incorporate interests into goals. So tie those interests to their IEP goals. If they love building blocks, use them to practice counting, sorting, following multi-step directions, even spelling. There's also social skills practice. Use their favorite characters or toys to model social interactions. For example, practice turn taking by playing with their favorite figurines. Introduce related interests. If a student loves a younger themed interest, you can gradually introduce more age-neutral or advanced options in the same category. So for example, a love of Peppa Pig could evolve into learning about real pigs or farm life. The same with my student Sam. We expanded upon Thomas the Tank Engine and we focused more on trains and real train schedules and stops and paths that they take. And finally, celebrate progress, not perfection. Let's normalize the fact that every student's journey looks different. Celebrate their unique milestones and how their interests help them to grow. So here's something I've learned the hard way. It is so easy to get caught up in the idea of what's supposed to happen in the classroom. But when we let go of those rigid expectations and we meet our students where they are, that's when the magic happens. I've seen students light up over things that others dismiss as too young or inappropriate. And you know what? That light, that joy on their face, that is why I went into teaching. So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. Age appropriate doesn't mean one size fits all. Doesn't mean throw out your students' interest. Our job is not to fit students or any other person into a box. It's to use what they love to help them grow and thrive and feel valued. The next time you catch yourself wondering, is this too young for them? Ask yourself instead, is this helping the student? Is the student engaging with this? Is my student building a skill with this? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right track. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope this episode gave you some new ideas, some encouragement, and maybe even a little validation that it's okay to embrace what makes your students unique. Until next time, take care of yourself, celebrate your students, and remember, learning is better when it's fun. You've got this.